Hello. I brought you to my kitchen to teach you a little bit about writing body paragraphs. Body paragraphs remind me a lot of the kitchen because they remind me of sandwiches. Hold me out. Imagine you're sitting in the living room and you're watching a movie or something, and one of your friends says, "Hey, I'm going to make some sandwiches. Do you want anything?" And maybe you say back to them, "I'll have turkey." Well, what would you do if you came back into the room and they had made for you this? Technically, this is what you asked for. It's turkey. But you might laugh at it, or you might be a little angry. You might even be a little disgusted. I mean, what are you supposed to do with this? It's just a chunk of meat. Similarly, when you do your research and write your paper, you may find that you have big chunks of evidence like this that are interesting, but they're not really easy to handle. Say you're writing a paper about whether we should discriminate against pit bulls in our communities or housing complexes. You might find a quote like this: 1 in 3 dogs lacking DNA for pit bull heritage were labeled pit bull type dogs by at least one animal shelter staff member. This is a really nice piece of evidence. It's very clear, it is interesting, it's cited correctly, which is great, and it even has this little bracket to show what you added to the quote as opposed to what was in the original article itself. This is a great piece of evidence, just like this is a great piece of deli quality turkey. It's really fine, but it's not enough by itself, and neither is this enough by itself. You need to create a meal around it. And meal is the acronym for this section. So MEAL stands for main idea, evidence, analysis, and link. The evidence, that's just one part. It's not enough. So to build your paragraph, you're going to build it like a sandwich. This main idea and the link are like the bread of your sandwich, right? They make it easy for you to hold the meat in the middle of it. The main idea is your main idea. What is your focus of this paragraph? And just like each sandwich should have its own little sandwich, each main idea is going to have its own paragraph. So if you decide that this paragraph is going to be about how people can't tell if a dog is a pit bull, then that's going to be the focus of your sandwich. It will be in your main idea, and it will also be in the link that you're going to use to the next paragraph as you build that sandwich and that's main idea. Now, even if you had this, right, a main idea, some evidence, and a link to the next paragraph, it might not be, the best sandwich. You might want to include things like bell peppers or lettuce or maybe mustard or sriracha. I'm not going to judge. This is like the analysis part of meal. It's what makes it appetizing and interesting. It's not just a chunk of meat. It's your own argument. It's how you make it yours. If you like mustard or sriracha, that makes the sandwich yours. It's your flavor. If you like a fancy kind of cheese or American cheese, it's your individual take on it. So if we were to look at this bit of evidence again, we might build it into a more complete paragraph. So we would start with the main idea. The main idea of this paragraph that uses this evidence could be something like this: even experts have a hard time identifying pit bulls. Okay, so that's our M. Our E would then come next. 1 in 3 dogs lacking DNA for pit bull heritage breeds were labeled pit bull type dogs by at least one animal shelter staff member. Okay, we've got our first piece of bread and our meat. Here's our evidence that comes next in it. There's our analysis after the evidence. If animal shelter personnel who work closely with dogs on a consistent basis can't identify pit bulls, how much worse are police and journalists? Do you see how you've gone beyond what the original evidence said? This researcher was just looking about how animal shelter staff identify or misidentify pit bulls. Now, the writers added additional information and analysis. If shelter staff are bad, what about other people who are in charge of identifying whether something is a pit bull? Finally, with that linking, I'm going to take this whole paragraph, everything that I've given you, and add on a link to the next section. Pit bulls are victims of incorrect breed profiling and are probably not directly responsible for as many violent incidents as reported. I can imagine reading this last section, this link, then in the next paragraph, I'm going to talk about other ways in which people have misidentified pit bulls in incidents of violence. So in conclusion, it's not enough just to have a good chunk of meat. You've got to personalize it. You've got to make it your own with all of the analysis that you want to add, unique flavors that are your own ideas, and of course, you're going to want to make it easy for people to read by giving us a main idea and a link, making it something that you can handle. Anyway, I hope this has whetted your appetite for more writing as you start to move towards your final research paper. Good luck and bon appetit!